Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. I am JPJ. He is the franchise, Matt Sell. And you know what that means? This is another episode of The War Report. Matt, how we doing today, my friend?
Good, man. Good. Two killer shows this week. NXT actually delivered what Raw couldn't, which
Absolutely.
was
I was
a
going to get into that. Yeah.
killer show after a big show. So, yeah,
Yep.
looking forward to talking to both these, man. It's always a good time. It's always a good time.
Oh, yeah. And I had mentioned that quickly on the live reacts we had to the NXT show on Tuesday on Love Wrestling on Twitch. I felt like watching this NXT show, I had those feelings that I normally have watching the Raw after Mania. You know, like you just expect big stuff, you expect debuts, you expect new pushes, just things like that. And, the Raw did not give us that.
No.
But the next night on NXT, I feel like that's what we got. Like NXT delivered that way, no pun intended, to the stand and deliver takeover. But they certainly delivered at the takeovers last week, and they delivered with new stars, new direction. It felt fresh. It felt like we're going in a new path, not new era, but new path, new direction. When we're going to start with NXT, it was their first Tuesday show, so we will start there and go through the show. But I thought in general, yeah, man, two killer shows for the week. But NXT, since we're diving in there, I fully agree. It gave you those feels that show after Mania, like, oh, all right, cool. We're on a path to the next, what we're doing here. I thought it was amazing.
Any show that you can sit here and say was really, really good to great, and they didn't have Bella, Cole, O'Reilly, didn't have Cameron Grimes. None of them were there, like, in action. So it was good. It was really good, and there's potentially still another tier to go. So oh boy,
yeah, it should be good. We might be having some fun times ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it all.
Oh,
Don't worry about that.
So NXT opens up with Karrion Kross coming down to the ring and cutting a promo. I thought this was a good promo.
Yeah.
I thought it was one of the better ones he's cut since he's been there. I loved how he called Finn one of the greatest to ever do it. He gave him that acknowledgement in it. He, not that Finn Balor needs to be put over, but he put over Balor like, hey, you're one of the best to ever wrestle. And I'm glad he did that. And he just said, I welcome all challengers and I will destroy everyone. But if you want a chance at this, come and get it. 'Cause I'm here. I'm going to fight everyone and I'm going to destroy everyone. How did you feel about this promo to start off the show?
Yeah, man. Like first up, the new logo and graphics and everything they had.
Yes. Very good.
Amazing. So good. So good. It felt right to have new stuff for, the new move and all that sort of stuff. And we spoke about it on a couple of shows after Mania. It's like an end of season, start of season thing for NXT. So to go in that direction, I think was a really, really subtle, but yet good starting point. Kross has one of the best entrances in all of pro wrestling.
I agree.
It would be the best if Scarlett would cut that lip syncing rubbish.
The lip syncing, yeah, that's the thing that people.
It makes him look so intimidating and so badass. It's ridiculous, but she just makes it a little bit hokey. But that's neither here nor there. This promo, we did a prediction show for Takeover, you and I said I wanted intensity from Kross in his promos. Bang, got it.
Yep,
this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted from him. It made him look absolutely it makes him look like the champion that he is. He's a big guy. He could legitimately throw down if needed to. And this was just, this is everything you want from a dominant champion. You want him saying, anyone can get it. It's all good. It's all Gucci. This is how I want it to be booked. Strong, dominant, and he just you just gravitate to him because he's so physically impressive. This is what the start of NXT needed to be.
I agree. And, obviously his name on the indies was Killer Kross, but like he is a killer. That's his character, is he goes out there and he ruins people and destroys people. And he can play that heel. He could play that tweener, whatever you want him to do. But at the end of the day, you know that he's going to beat the shit out of people in the ring.
Yeah.
And him saying, like, I don't care what size you are. I don't care who you are. Like, you want this? Yeah. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fight. And I'm ready to, like, I'm never losing this. I'm never losing this.
What
and you
really
believe him.
What really puts it over, though, like, everyone knows him and Scarlett are together. So that's neither here nor there. But when he just looks into the camera and says, if anyone wants it, they can get it. I will still dominate. I don't care who you are, what size you are, any of that. Scarlett's face, it's almost like an orgasmic trance she goes into, and it just puts over how dangerous of a person, because she knows him so well, it puts over how dangerous that he actually is. Yep. Her face is she's in awe of how impressive this man is, and it makes you impressed by it as well.
I would agree. Yeah, I think, you know, we talk about the lip sync and stuff, and like some things like that are a little hokey and stuff like that, but she adds a lot to his character too because of that. Like, most people, or I would say maybe not most, but a lot of people know that they are a real life couple. So like you said, when she watches him outside the ring when he's wrestling, and she has that look of like, oh, that is my man. Like, look at him. Like, she is in awe of what he's doing. And when he says those things, you could see her like smiling, or, you know, you could see her being like, oh, like, yeah, like, this is why I'm with him. 'Cause I know he means every word he's saying. And so, you know, I think this is where they obviously wanted to be when he won the title from Keith Lee, and they had the injury. But I think this is where, and if you listen to any interviews when he came back, he said that they had pretty good plans of what it was going to be like with him with that title. So I'm assuming that's what we're going to end up seeing now. And I'm really excited about it, because I've never had an issue with him inside the ring. It's always been, you know, kind of how he was being portrayed since coming back. But I feel like this is the start of, like, he's the champ now. We're going, you know? Very excited to see where they go with him going forward.
Yeah, you don't wish injury upon anyone, but it's almost like the injury was a blessing in disguise to a degree, because when he won it from Lee, it was SummerSlam weekend. I don't know, it was hard. The NXT was in a sort of a lull then, I guess. Yeah. Now that he's come back, he won it. You know, the match he won it from with Lee was a little bit, you know, the match he won it against Bella,
very good,
critically acclaimed. Everyone loved it. Everyone thought it was fantastic. So this feels like a really fresh reign for him. Well, it is fresh, but it feels like, you know, you could almost forget this is his second championship reign in a sense. Yeah. So this is, I think, that was a blessing in disguise. He's a champ now. He's gonna, you know, they're gonna push forward. It's really exciting times. Yeah, I wasn't overly excited for the match at TakeOver, but once it delivered, it really put over to me how dominant of a champ he can be booked, and how I think he should be booked.
Yep, I would agree there. All right, so then we move on. We had the NXT Tag Team title match between MSK and Drake Maverick and Killian Dane. A little sloppy to start. There were a couple of little mini botches and stuff like that, but I thought all in all, it ended up being a good match. One of the things that I found to be a little interesting, and I know it's a smaller crowd, but the crowd was clearly behind Maverick and Dane. Like, MSK was getting some boos there. Again, small crowd. This is not me thinking that all of a sudden they're not going to get over with the crowd. Like, I don't think that. I just thought it was a little interesting. Like, I was watching the match and I'm just kind of like, oh, they're getting booed. Like, that's weird. Like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I understand. I mean, who doesn't want to root for Drake Maverick? Killian Dane too. But like Drake Maverick, he's the ultimate underdog babyface. So I get it. But I just thought it was something like a little interesting that I at least wanted to mention to see if, you know, there was some discussion around anything that way. Because, you know, me being someone who didn't watch a ton of Impact and stuff like that, like MSK, the majority of what I've seen from them has been what I've seen on NXT. And I very much like what I've seen. But I could understand how they might not be everyone's cup of tea, you know, the way that they do things, you know, and the way that they wrestle, that high, you know, high spots, high impact, fast. Like, that's not for everybody. And I understand that. I like it. And I've been a fan of theirs since they've shown up. But I just thought it was a little interesting that they seem to be the team that the live audience, at least, that they weren't pulling for. But in the end, MSK does get the victory, and there's some stuff that happens after. But before we get to that, what were your opinions on the match? Did you notice the booing of MSK at all, or like what were your opinions of what was going on?
Yeah, the booing was fairly noticeable, to be honest. Yeah, I just put it down to the fact that Drake is always going to be, a baby face, the ultimate underdog. They want him to achieve, as high as he can get. They rooted for him in the Cruiserweight tournament. He fell oh so short. They're rooting for him here. It's just, it is how it is. MSK will have to learn how to deal with these sort of things. The match was fine. It was nothing special.
Yeah,
I did pop for Dane almost killing Wesley with that crossbody on the floor.
That was awesome.
He almost squished him through the floor. But yeah, it was real good. Yeah, I don't. This again, NXT have gone with a reset, and there are tag teams which are filtering through as potential challengers. Who ends up being next? No idea. But as you said, MSK, for the most part, for the hardcore NXT WWE fan, wouldn't have seen a whole lot of these guys. If you didn't watch Impact, you wouldn't have seen a lot. And I was one of those people, and as were you, as you just said. Yes, you either love MSK or you don't, due to their high octane, flippy sort of style. It's akin to the Bucks in a way.
Yeah.
You either love them or you don't. It's the way they have portrayed MSK from the jump in NXT, I think is really good. They've still got another gear to go. We see, it's like football teams or any of that. Good teams always have gears. They elevate to who, compared to who they're in the ring with or on the field with, whatever. We saw MSK do the really, really good match stuff against, GYV and stuff at Vengeance Day or whenever it was with Dusty Classic and again a takeover. This they don't just call it in, but this wasn't the normal high octane stuff. They sort of just go out there, do what they have to do, get the win, get out of there. But yeah, MSK wasn't sold on them winning at TakeOver. I prefer a heel team being tag champs, but they are a good team, and I'm fine with them carrying the titles. For now.
Yeah, I would agree there. And after the match, we see Killian Dane in the ring and Alexander Wolf, now of Imperium, but they obviously have a history with Sanity together. He shows up in the ring and they kind of stare at each other awkwardly, and then Bartel and Eichner come from behind and start attacking Dane, and they take him out. And then the three of them pose and do their Imperium pose. I was kind of confused. I was like, all right, well, obviously Walter is heading back to Europe. Like he goes back after, he shows up for Mania and then kind of leaves. That's his thing. He likes being home. It seemed to me that, and again, after they did the attack, they're leaving the ring, and there's a section where Wolf is kind of in front of Bartel and Eichner. And as they were leaving the ring, Wolf leaves and he's already kind of walking up the ramp, and Bartel and Eichner get out kind of simultaneously. And the way the camera was shot, you see Bartel look at Eichner, and he kind of raises his eye like, oh, like, are we following this guy's lead? Like, is this the guy kind of thing? That's at least what I took out of it. I think the way it was kind of portrayed, it seemed like maybe Wolf thought, because there's no Walter, like he's going to step up. I don't know. Obviously, that's a story to be played out. But I did think those few little things, especially the look that Bartel gave to Eichner specifically, I was like, oh, okay, that's something to remember kind of thing.
Yeah, they could be running with some sort of Wolf is some sort of second in charge to Walter type arrangement.
Yeah.
And it'd make somewhat sense if Walter has gone back to Europe, which I would say he has.
Yeah.
If that's where they're going with it. And, but I didn't originally like Imperium, but I've definitely warmed to them. I didn't like Bartel and Eichner as tag champs. But if the world was if the world was perfect, and Walter was able to get to America regularly, or Imperium were on NXT UK regularly, I would be all for Walter being champ, Bartel and Eichner being tag champs, and Wolf whatever, whether he's some sort of bounty hunter, big guy taking people out for Walter, blah, blah, blah. I'm not sure, but I think a right-hand man, second in charge type of arrangement would probably work quite well. It's a story that they could definitely tell.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think later on in the night, there was a vignette with Walter talking over it. And he had mentioned like, hey, Imperium, we're going to be taking over the world. There's going to be different people in different areas and things like that. So maybe this was like kind of, it happened after, like in the chronological order of the show, but maybe that was kind of like, hey, just because I'm not around doesn't mean that Imperium isn't a thing. You know what I mean? Like, I represent it over here. We're going to have different people kind of popping in wherever we can type thing. So, but I just thought.
Did Walter also say that Imperium's going to grow?
Yes, I believe that was in there too. He said it's going to grow. So, maybe Killian Dane joins. Who knows? Maybe this leads to that. I know there's been long time rumors about Thatcher going there because of the history. So who knows? I mean, I'm all for, I like factions. So I'm all for factions and growing. And if you want to have one on regular NXT and then have one on NXT UK, cool. Like I'm all for that. Like works for me. You know what I mean?
Correct. I'm with you.
Yeah. All right, so then we have we see Roddy Strong and Marina, his wife, walking into the NXT arena. And at first, and this, we'll kind of get back into it when it pops up later. At first, I saw them too, and my initial thought was, I'm intrigued by them being an on-screen couple if they want to go that route. Like, I'm cool with that. And then obviously, I mean, we can just talk about it in totality now since we already mentioned it. But later on in the evening, you see Roderick Strong and Marina in Regal's office, and Roddy gives him some papers and an envelope and says, "I'm done." And I loved Regal here. Regal is also like, he's like, you know what? You were a big pain in my ass, but regardless, you are professional and you're welcome back here anytime. So I don't know if that means Roddy is destined to go to the main roster now, or this is a bigger story where he goes away for a little bit and then comes back. I don't know. What are your initial thoughts on where they might be going with this?
I don't know where they're going with this, to be honest. I don't know. It's interesting. Whatever they choose to do, whether they bring him back on NXT at a later date or he debuts on the main roster, similar to what we'll talk about later when we do AEW with Hangman and Omega, do not rush it. Do just stay off TV for a month, 5, 6 weeks, whatever. Just go away. Just let it breathe. Enjoy some family time, and then come back refreshed, and then straight into it with whatever you're doing. It's intriguing. It's good. This is the sort of stuff that us fans want. We know Roddy's good in the ring. We know exactly what he can do and what he's capable of. But this is just something different. It just needs, people just need to chill, let it breathe, and let it play out. And if that happens, then this could be something really, really good. It's super intriguing. I've got no idea where they're going with it, but super intrigued.
Yeah, I am too. And like you said, and we talked about it at the top, like NXT put on a show tonight without some of their heavy hitters. They had a lot. So if Roderick decides, maybe if they do say that, hey, take a few months off, go get some rest up the body, go spend some time with your kid and your wife, and we'll have a story for you when you come back. Like NXT definitely has enough talent that they can go a few months without someone as good as Roddy Strong and be okay. And then when he comes back, he just gets thrown into this mix of the great stuff they're already doing, and it's just another great story, another great talent to just keep going in the direction that they're going.
Especially if they're going to put him into something big for the next takeover. The next takeover won't be till, I don't know, maybe
summer-ish, SummerSlam, maybe?
They might have one before then, but I'm not sure, to be honest. If it's SummerSlam, that's another 4 months.
Yeah.
So he could take 2 months off if he wanted to, and they could still bring him back and build to something really good.
Oh, yeah.
And something big leading into that. Part of me thinks that they're going to slot him into this UE mess somewhere. I don't know how long Bobby Fish is out for, whether he's going to play into this at any point. I don't know. But again, no idea. Multiple paths they could go, which is fantastic and super intriguing. And that's all we ask.
Yep. Then we see another video of an update of what happened after the match at TakeOver between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. It looks like this is not ending. So they showed him, Cole getting, I loved it. Cole's getting out in a stretcher, and you can hear the EMTs or whoever saying, "Hey, stay calm. It's fine. Stay calm." And Cole's just screaming, "F you. F you, stay calm. Like, I'm hurt. Like, what the hell?" I thought that was a nice little thing. And then you see them, they both get taken out. They both get taken to the same hospital, going down the same hallway together on separate stretchers. Cole screaming at O'Reilly, dropping F-bombs, saying, "You're dead. You messed up. This isn't over." My favorite part, again, and I love Regal. They show him kind of walking from a far angle, and as they keep going, Regal's in the back, and Regal has about 2 seconds of TV time by himself, and the look on his face, he is like shaking. He is so disgusted at how Cole is still talking trash and still going. I'm kind of in the middle of how I feel about this continuing. I get it. Undisputed Era was the main group of NXT for years. Like, I understand treating this and like having to keep going. I'm pretty sure that was only their first match, right? Was that O'Reilly and Cole's first match against each other? So like, it's very rare for NXT. Yeah. So it's very rare for a feud to end just after one match, especially with the long-term storytelling that they've been telling with this. So I understand it still going, but I also would have been 100% okay if what we saw at TakeOver was the end of it. You know what I mean? So I don't know how you're feeling about that somewhat as it looks continuing on,
No gray area for me. If your plan going into this was to continue this, don't give me a 40-minute unsanctioned match. Yeah, they're going to lean into the fact that Cole's going to say, "Well, you didn't technically beat me because it wasn't, on record. It was unsanctioned, blah, blah, blah." Just have them have a 20-minute match, and then, O'Reilly wins with a roll-up or something, anything, and make it make sense. Having them battle for 40-odd minutes, which dragged, and then still having the person that loses still want to keep going, to me, it's just... No, thanks.
Yeah. I can definitely see that argument. I would have liked to have seen O'Reilly just kind of be that standout babyface, like top guy now, whether it was going immediately to Karrion Kross or maybe doing something else and then eventually getting there. I would that's kind of where I want to see Kyle going. And I think he'll eventually, that's where he's going to go. Yeah. I don't think you need to keep this going, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see I'm sure they have a plan or whatever is in their mind of where it's going. But like I said, I'm sure whatever they do will be entertaining to me. But I would have been perfectly okay if it was like, okay, yeah, it was just one match of 40, like you said, a long, brutal type match. Like, maybe they don't need to have maybe the one match is okay when it was the type of match that we saw on TakeOver,
But in saying that, Gargano and Ciampa, I think, had one of their first matches was some sort of hardcore or street fight or something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. Yeah. And they went on to have, I think
3 or 4 more. Yeah, 2 more.
Yeah, they had 2, and I think the third one was meant to be WrestleMania weekend, but Ciampa obviously hurt his neck. Yeah. So whether that's the route they're going, I don't know. I'm okay. Yeah. Look, the match was. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place now. I stated from the get-go, the match didn't need to be 40 minutes anyway.
I'd agree.
It kind of feels like they don't have anything for either of them, and that's why they're continuing it. And if that's the case, it's kind of disappointing, considering they've got multiple avenues for just about every other program they've got going on. But I don't know. It's going to continue. Just hopefully it's entertaining, and if it is, then I suppose we got nothing to complain about.
Yeah. Then we got a vignette for Swerve Scott here that I liked a lot. And we're going to talk about Swerve in a little bit as well. But I really, really like this vignette. I loved the studio setting. I thought that was original, something new. I liked his attitude where he was like, I had a career defining performance. I know I'm that good. I feel like a lot of you have forgotten that I'm that good, and I'm done putting up with this, this BS. I'm not putting up with any crap anymore. Like, I'm going to go be Swerve, and I'm going to go be as good as I know I am type attitude. I thought it was a really cool vignette. I like when you use new things in a studio setting like that, seeing him in the producer chair with the soundboards and stuff like that. That was, it's not something we see often. It was new to me, and it's a new edge to the character. What did you think about this direction they seem to be going with Swerve here?
Loved it.
Yeah.
So good. It was so good. I've been an outsider fan of Swerve since his Lucha Underground work. I thought his stuff in Lucha Underground was actually really good. He's diverse. He can chain wrestle. He can mat wrestle. He can do a bit of cruiserweighty high flyer stuff. He can do hardcore. He can do a number of things. Swerve is a star. He needs to be booked as such. He doesn't need to be, and we'll talk about this shortly, he doesn't need to be in elongated feuds with people like Leon Ruff, in my opinion. He needs to be in feuds with people like Johnny and people like, Ciampa, Kushida, Dunn. He needs to be wrestling these caliber of guys in order for him to believe that he belongs at the level that I believe that he belongs on. And to me, this was a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. Earlier in the evening, we saw Mercedes Martinez out in the hallway yelling at Robert Stone, "Where's the rest of my money?" Robert Stone had these gloves that he's wearing now with his character, like rainbow studded double gloves. I was like, oh, that's a nice little add-on to the character.
Michael Jackson type
gimmick, Michael Jackson inspired, just on both hands though this time, not just one.
Yeah, too.
But so Mercedes is being aggressive, like, I want my money. Where's my money? And Jessi Kamea kind of steps in her way. Who Jessi Kamea, from that, she's a big girl. She was tall, like much taller than Mercedes. Like, she had a presence to her when she kind of stepped in there. And that led to a match that we see between Mercedes and Kamea.
Yeah.
For me, I understand why they did it, because Kamea, I think she's part of the future of the women's division in NXT. So like, they gave her that offense at the beginning against Mercedes Martinez. I happen to think it was a tad too much for me. But by the end of the match, Mercedes dominated 80% of it. And she looked like Mercedes Martinez. And then she got out of the ring, and Aaliyah got scared and ran off screaming, and she held Stone up against the the boards they had there, and she's like, I want my money. And Stone, scared shitless as he should be, took the money out of his pocket. Okay. And then that was it. And Mercedes Martinez is awesome. She should be in the title picture immediately. I think she would be a great first challenger for Raquel, or at least in the first couple challengers for Raquel. So I'm glad that they were like, all right, we're going to make sure that, and she sprinkles in later, which we'll talk about too, but they made her a presence on tonight's show and like made her look like a woman that matters. And that's good, because she should be. What did you have to say about what went on here?
Yeah, I agree. Kamea, I didn't realize she was so tall and sort of imposing.
Yeah, exactly. Me neither.
She towered over Martinez. I agree with you. Kamea got maybe a little too much offense early on this one. Again, like you, I get why. But if you're building Martinez up to be one of the first challengers for a new champion in a new era, maybe just back that off just a touch, touch. I like that once Martinez got control of this match, she didn't muck around. She put her away, did what she had to do, got out of there. The stuff with Robert Stone and Martinez, I'm hoping that they continue sort of going this money route with Martinez, sort of like a bounty hunter type gimmick that always gets payment. and her overall bounty prize is obviously the women's championship, and she'll do anything and won't stop on her pursuit to get that. Yep. I think that would be a really cool sort of character / gimmick for Martinez, because she was hot property when she was a free agent. Like, AEW wanted
everyone
her.
Everyone was going after her.
Yeah, she would have been good for their division, but NXT, they added to their ranks, and it's now's as good a time as any to start using her, especially against Raquel, because I reckon, you got Raquel who's a big, strong girl, and then you got Martinez who's not as tall, but she's equally pound for pound as strong as pretty much anybody. So she's one of a handful. I'll talk a bit more about it later when we get to the Raquel segment, but she's one of a handful that you can just put in there and with anyone on the roster, and it's money all day. So this was fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then we get to one of, there were a handful of real good moments on this NXT. This was one of the top two, in my opinion, as you had Santos Escobar come out, cut a promo about winning the, undisputed cruiserweight championship. Kind of a babyface promo to me, a little bit. I know they've been, it was in the middle. They're talking about his kid. He said that his kid is going to, he said his father was a champion. He's a champion, and his son one day will be a champion. Obviously, at the end of TakeOver, when he won that match, his kid came out on the entrance with him. So, I could kind of see them maybe going that route with him. But then, he says he wants to be a fighting champion. He issues an open statement, and that statement is answered by Kushida, which I was not expecting.
No.
And when it happened, I was like, okay, all right, I'm in on it. And immediately I looked to my girlfriend doesn't pay attention to wrestling. She'll stay out there with me and watch it, but she's not really focused. I looked at her and I was like, pal, I think we might be seeing a new cruiserweight champion tonight, because I can't see Kushida losing another big match. I hope not.
Yeah.
And she was like, whatever, doing her thing. And then,
cool.
Great. And then that match was killer. I thought it was so good. You would expect it from those two. Those two guys are great, obviously.
Yes.
Oh man, it was so good. They hit everything. That Kushida did that like a cradle suplex that Santos Escobar ended up putting his foot on the rope for.
Yeah.
That whole segment, Escobar looked like he literally could not move, and like he was just like his head was off to the side. Oh man. I know that's one little. So Oh my God. I thought this match was the best match of the night, easily.
Yeah.
And Kushida with the surprising win to be the new cruiserweight champion. I'm excited about that too. I think over the last couple months specifically, NXT has done that cruiserweight title some justice, and they have made that, to me, that title almost feels like the second biggest title on NXT. The way it's been treated the last couple months. You know what I mean? I almost feel like they've put the most focus on that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just been, man, what do you like? I'm sure you feel the same way I did. Like, how, man.
Like, Johnny's good, and the NA title is obviously, number 2 for the brand. But the way they have booked and portrayed Escobar with the cruiserweight title, so good. Like, sometimes if I just close my eyes and visualize what he's doing, he's like a second coming of Eddie Guerrero. It's ridiculous how good this guy is. He was the right person to unify the titles. Would I have had him lose so soon after unifying the titles? Probably not. But if I was to have him lose and pick one person, that one person would be Kushida. Because we all know how good Kushida is. Yeah, this match was amazing. So good. Putting Kushida in trunks, and that's definitely a choice that I probably wouldn't have made, but whatever. It doesn't change how good he is in the ring. Kushida throwing homage to Liger was the best.
Yep.
That was so good. I actually didn't know that Liger and Escobar were tag champs in Mexico.
I didn't know that either.
No, Barrett mentioned that on commentary, and I was like, oh boy, there you go.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. All good. My only nitpick about this match, Dunn abused Kushida's hands at TakeOver. There was no selling of the hands or the fingers.
Yeah, not even wrapped, nothing like not even like a little thing, you know.
So I would have liked a little something, you know. It's been a week, you know, maybe just a little bit of tenderness or something would have made this match, you know, amazingly. The match was still fine. Yeah, both these men are incredible. No problem. If I would be happy if they chose to do a long-term feud with these two and have another blow-off killer match down the line. Again, that would be so good. But it looks like they're going another route with Kushida. But all in all, with Kushida winning, no problem with that. If he was the only one to take it off Escobar so quickly after he unified it, that'd be my only choice.
Yeah. And then we did see in the back a little bit later afterwards, Kushida is at the trainer's table and Devlin comes up to him and he says, "Hey, you know, great match." He said, "Hey, I'm going away for a little bit." So obviously he's heading back home to Ireland, I would assume. But he's like, "Hey, I'm going back home for a little bit, but you know, I'm the next guy. I'm the next challenger for you. So you do what you have to do, but when I come back, I'm coming back for that." So that's a little foreshadowing, however long, you know, we don't know where the world will be in the future. So that seems to be something down the line. I don't think they would have done that if they didn't expect Kushida to have that belt for a little bit, you know?
I'd be happy if they continued the Escobar and Kushida thing for a bit and then go move to Devlin when he comes back.
Yeah, I would be perfectly okay with that. I definitely would like to see more of Escobar and Kushida after what we saw on Tuesday. That was the first. Yeah, give me another one. If you want to stretch it longer, if there's a good story behind it, all for it.
That's the one thing that frustrates me with WWE/NXT programming. We will get 1,000,001 matches that we don't want to see repeated, I should say. But matches like this that we want to see a feud continue, they won't do it.
Yeah. They'll move on to something else sometimes. And you're like, come on, no, it's okay when it's stuff like that. It's okay when it's stuff like that. You know?
Yeah. Like they got to find a happy medium still in some instances. But yeah, I'd be happy for this to continue. This was, real good.
Very good. Then we see a little vignette of Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Ciampa, you know, angry that he lost to Walter, mentions how it was, you know, it was a bad defeat, but he's also says that he feels as good as he ever has and that the eye is on the prize and him and Thatcher are coming for, you know, they didn't mention them, but they foreshadowed that they were going for the NXT tag titles and they were on the radar. They did mention MSK so it seems to be maybe they're maybe not next in line, but they're in that next maybe challenger or in that group of next challengers. I did like the small touch of Ciampa kind of getting real pissed at the end and kicking out the chair and stomping off, and then you just have Thatcher there with his toothless smile, just like I thought that was a nice little touch. But we've been saying it since they've been teaming up. Like I'm all for Thatcher and Ciampa. I'm all for them being, if they're going to be a team and you're going to keep them as a team, they should be the champions or right up there with them. So if that's where you're going, I'm all for it. I don't know if you had anything to add or if you're in agreement or
100% agreement, man. This is just what Ciampa does best. It was short, it was sharp, it was to the point. And that's all we needed from this. Thatcher said very little, which you don't need him to with Ciampa as a mouthpiece. It was fine. Thatch as Thatch can, or whatever his t-shirt says. So damn good. Can't not but love that shirt. If these two are going after the titles, then yes, please. Bring it on.
I would agree. So then we get what I think was probably the moment of the night. We have Dakota Kai and Raquel come out, and they are celebrating Raquel's championship victory at TakeOver, as they should. Raquel puts over Dakota, which I thought was nice, you know, saying I wouldn't be here without you, without her and stuff like that. Cause I think all of us kind of know eventually down the line, that's going to be a money feud for Raquel. So I did like how they added that in. And then all of a sudden, about halfway through, we get the debut of Frankie Monet. Taya Valkyrie, which most of us knew her as. Quite a spot. I'm glad they did it. I'm glad they did it here, but that is quite a spot to debut when you're debuting in the championship crowning segment of the new champion of the women's division in Raquel. Frankie comes out. I did like how she was able to keep the La Guerra Roca. What is it? La Guerra
Loca.
Yeah, I was very happy that they kept that. Even though the name changed.
I don't think you can trademark it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe you can.
I don't know. But I was glad they threw in some stuff like that to kind of reference the old, like her history, her old character, even though I butchered it right there. But I was happy they did that because I know a lot of people, social media being social media, are like flipping out about her name. And she unfortunately has had to go on like the defensive the last couple of days and be like, the name's not that big of a deal, guys. Like, it's a name. I picked it. I wanted the name. Like, it was me. Like, it doesn't matter about the name. It matters about what I'm going to be doing.
Isn't Taya Canadian?
That I honestly don't know. She might be. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know. Having a French name makes all the sense in the world, so people need to just get over it.
Yeah. And like another one, like I said, I don't watch a ton of Impact. I obviously know who she is because she's been doing it for a long time and she's been great over there for a long time. But like I haven't seen a ton of her work. So like this is going to be the first real exposure for me with her too. So for someone who hasn't seen any of her work, for her to show up in this segment against this person, that's immediately like, okay, she's a main eventer. She's going to be going for the title almost immediately. Yeah, I thought that was and it led to other, so she gets in there. She says, I am who I am. I'm Frankie Monet. I'm someone you need to know. I'm here now. And she portraying this Real Housewives, Hollywood, with the little dog, like that type of character, which I think she, at least on night one, was a hit for me. I was all in on it. So she says her thing. And then as she's leaving the ring, we hear Rhea Ripley's music. And then Rhea Ripley comes in and her and Raquel have a face-to-face. And we know how that ended with them two having some brutal last woman standing matches and things like that. Then they end up embracing and having a little bit of a moment. And then as that's happening, Bianca Belair comes down. And then all three of them. And at this point, Dakota has already been told to leave the ring. So she's nowhere to be found. So it's just the three of them. They have their moment. They're all lifting up the championships for their respective brands. And then they show the picture that's been kind of making the rounds of them three when they were all in NXT from a few years ago. I thought the moment was great. It kind of shows that even though Ripley and Bianca are on Raw and SmackDown now, respectively, NXT and the NXT past is kind of running the women's division of WWE in total, really.
Yep.
And I thought this was a nice nod to it. I thought it was the best moment of the night. I thought it was cool. Yeah. I think if there was a real larger live crowd there, it might have been the moment of the whole week, to be honest with you. How'd you feel? What'd you think about all this whole thing?
The more we talk about it, the more goosebumps I'm getting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah.
Yeah, this was so good. Like, I started to tear up when they were embracing and they were just, it was just, and Spencer says this all the time, when you invest time in people and you see them achieve great things or do great things, it makes you feel good. And this is what that was. Did they miss a trick in maybe not advertising that Ripley and Belair were going to be there? Potentially, but surprises are also good too. So overall, this was real good. Frankie or Taya, whatever you want to call her, debuting, I thought made sense. The name makes sense because she's Canadian. Canadians, a lot of them. I don't know if Victoria, Canada is a place where they speak French. I don't know. But if that is the case, then a French name for a Canadian makes a ton of sense. For me, the name's not an issue. Allowing her to use her own dog makes sense too because it's hers. I thought this was a good way to introduce her and I really liked how her and Raquel were able to communicate bilingually.
Mm-hmm.
We may not have been understanding the Spanish or Mexican words, whatever they are, but they weren't so much that it took you out of the conversation. I really liked that. There are a number of women that could be the next or the first or the second or the third challengers for Raquel straight off the bat. Frankie, Mercedes, Zoe Stark, Dakota Kai is going to be down the line.
Yep.
Where do you start? Where do you end? It's all good. It's all of it. All good. It doesn't matter which one they go with, number 1, 2, 3. It's just it's all Gucci for me, man. 100%.
It's a very strong division down there. The NXT women's division. You could go in a ton of routes, and you and I would not be complaining about any of them.
And I didn't even mention Shirai.
Yep. Mm-hmm. We don't know if she's definitely going up to Raw or SmackDown or staying down there. But either they are. That is an extremely strong division. I would say probably the best women's division in all of wrestling, or at least has to be up towards the top, if not number 1. They are loaded down there.
Yeah, if you take Stardom out, which is an all-women's promotion, it'd have to be. It'd have to be at least up there.
Mm-hmm. And then, you had just mentioned Zoe Stark. We did have an interview with her backstage talking about her big victory on the pre-show of TakeOver from night 1, and she is interrupted by Mercedes Martinez. And they kind of have a stare off, and Mercedes tells her oh, you might've had a big victory, but if you're going for that title, you're going to go through me. Yeah. And they kind of set up, I don't know if they officially announced it for next week yet, but it seems I think that'll be a match, whether it's next week or that's a match down the line that is going to be coming soon. And I'm all for that. Mercedes Martinez, not only is she awesome, she's almost a 20-year veteran. And for someone like Zoe Stark, the more she can work with people like that, and that's only going to grow her too. You know what I mean? So all in on that as well.
They're high on Stark. We said that.
Oh yeah.
We said that last week, not the week before. She's worked with Io. She's worked with Raquel. She beat Tony on the pre-show at TakeOver. If
she's in that mix too.
Yeah, she's had that win now. So if she was to lose to Mercedes, it's not a big deal.
Yep. I would agree.
If you look at her record, 1-3. If she loses to Mercedes, she'll be 1-3. But you look at who she's lost to.
Yeah.
She hasn't been disgraced in any of those.
Nope.
So they're definitely high on her. She's in that next level. All for it. And Toni Storm's another one. She may have lost to Zoe Stark at the pre-show, but she's another high quality talent in that division. Yep. It's
There's a lot. Then we got Swerve going on one-on-one against Leon Ruff. This was a good match. Obviously, I actually think Leon Ruff looked really good in this match. He had a certain intensity about him, and there was stuff that happened after the match too, where so Swerve gets the win as clearly they're pushing him or moving him in a direction to go up the card. And I thought the match was fine. There were some really good high spots. There was a super Hurricane Rana in this match that was crazy. The height on it from Swerve was insane. And just in general, like we talked about earlier with the vignette, I'm very happy that they're pushing Swerve in this light. I do agree with you that he shouldn't just, and this isn't a knock on the 205 guys or the cruiserweight guys at all. Kushida's the champ now. It's not a knock on anybody, but Swerve should be in that Ciampa, Gargano, Adam, he should be up there, more up there than, fighting the guy Leon Ruff and, those type of guys. However, with that being said, I did think Leon Ruff came off good here. There was a little bit, I thought he was great in the match. He has a great little spinning cutter off the rope that he does. That's great. And I thought the intensity of him in the match was really good. And then I did like what we saw afterwards, where he kind of attacked Swerve in the back and kind of used one of those rolling carts as a weapon there. If this is a shift to get Leon Ruff out of that, hey, I'm just happy to be here type character to no, I'm a former champion here. I'm gonna, I belong here type guy. I'm all for that. I mean, he's a talented dude and he's someone you want to root for too. So Yeah, I thought this match did them both well. It gave Swerve a good win as they continue to rise him, and it made Ruff look a little bit more like, someone that deserved to be there more than just, he had a fluke win once. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it seems that they're going to go one more, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Please do not make it so that Ruff wins the next one and we have to go through another, because it's borderline starting to drag, this whole thing. But yeah, if they go one more after what Ruff did to Swerve, then happy days. I'm all for one more out of these two, because this was fun. It wasn't plotty, it wasn't slow or draggy. It didn't overstay its welcome. It was fun.
Yeah. Then we got to the main event. We had an 8-person mixed tag match. I thought this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was The Way, Gargano, Austin Theory, Candice, and Indy Hartwell against Bronson Reed, Dexter Lumis, and Shotzi Blackheart and Ember Moon. Nothing spectacular. They all got their stuff in. There was all a good match. I thought all in all, it was 8 people in a main event that really don't get a ton of main event spots. And I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. What did you have to say about anything that stuck out to you, or just in general about the main event tonight?
Yeah, it was just a lot of fun. It was, again, similar to the Swerve and Ruff match. It didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't plotty or draggy at any point. And it just played well into the whole Index drama that we got going on. I thought Indy playing dead was absolutely hilarious.
I was going to mention, hilarious.
She gave the wink and the thumbs up.
The thumbs up. Oh my God. So good. So good. That was very good.
Us Australians can act, apparently. Who knew?
Right.
Yeah. Reed's double Samoan drop to Gargano in Theory was awesome too. He's probably done it a million times, but every time you see it, it's just impressive.
Yep.
Yeah, this match, nothing stuck out overly, but it was just a good, fun way to end a really good show. I really like the ending visual of Reed holding both Shotzi and Ember up, a la Randy Savage, Miss Elizabeth type thing. I thought that was a really cool visual to end.
Yep.
But Reed gets another win. Whether that means he's going to push forward and challenge Johnny again and potentially beat Johnny. If that's the case, then I'm all for that.
Yeah.
But we'll see where that goes. Definitely. But everyone did their stuff and looked good doing it.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think on that, I really had nothing to add. I did like how it did seem like in the Indy Loomis stuff they were doing through the match, which I thought was, from an entertainment standpoint, was the most entertaining stuff of the match. I did like how they actually, for the first time, it showed like Loomis was also interested. Mm-hmm. Whereas you don't really see a ton of emotion from him ever, because that's his character. But, when she was on the apron and it looked like she was going for a kiss, like he was moving in towards her. When he had the submission hold on Theory and she fake passed out, he stopped because he saw her pass out and was like, he showed interest in what was going on there, which I thought we hadn't seen that yet. And then obviously when he takes her, like you said, that wink and thumbs up was the highlight of the whole thing. It was hilarious. I was laughing my ass off.
The first time she plays dead, not long after, when he has the submission on.
Yeah.
He goes over to pick her up and she sits up. She puckers her lips like he's going to kiss her.
Yeah.
This is so stupid. It's just funny.
It's just funny. But I thought it was a funny, it wasn't a serious storyline to end the show because they had been sprinkled throughout the week and that show. So I just thought it was good, entertaining main event. Like you said, Reed gets the win, continues him looking like $1 million. Mm-hmm. And that rounded out what I agree with you was a super, super fun, very good NXT show.
Very easy watch.
Yeah, definitely. Then we move on to Dynamite. It's a Thursday morning where I am. So Dynamite from last night. Again, I thought another great show. The show starts off before the opening video. You get an interview with the Young Bucks, and I liked the Young Bucks here. They said, this is a new Young Bucks, one that, some people claim they wanted and stuff like that, but they're more serious now. They chose family. They chose friends. It showed them cutting the tassels off their their boots and their outfits, so you can tell that they were definitely like, no, this is a different Young Bucks you're going to see now. It was short. It was nice, and it tied into the first match, which was them. But I thought it was a nice little short little thing. I thought Matt was really good. He kind of said, we're not going to be these just happy, fun to be running a wrestling promotion guys. Like, we're the best team in the world, and we're going to show you guys we're the best team in the world. What'd you have to say about this at all?
Yeah, it's the Bucks. Again, they're like MSK. Yeah, they love them or you don't. I'm intrigued about this whole thing to see how they shift over the coming weeks and what kind of heel traits they add to their characters over the coming weeks. We saw what they added tonight or yesterday, whatever time it was for whoever it was. So we saw little subtleties in their match this week. I'm just super intrigued to see what they continue adding or taking away from their characters moving forward to make them this over-the-top heel persona.
Yeah. So then the first match of the night is the Young Bucks defending the tag titles against Pac and Phoenix. In between the entrances, though, we do see a vignette of MJF and Mike Tyson. I thought this was very good, too. MJF goes over there. He goes, hey, I'm not asking you to cheat. Don't get the wrong idea. I'm not asking you to cheat. I'm not asking you to do anything. I'm just asking you to be fair. And I'm asking you to be on the right side of history. When we look back on this, I just want you to be on the right side. So you don't have to do anything to help me or cheat, but and he gives Mike Tyson a blank check. And he goes, hey, this is for you. And he goes, hey, I just don't want you to have any regrets. Cause looking at you, and he points at Tyson's face tattoo and he goes, I can clearly see you at least have one. Which I thought was so good. And then, Tyson takes the check, rips it up into 100 pieces, chews it, and then spits it right back at MJF. And then that was kind of that. Again, another short and sweet, but I thought Tyson was really good here. MJF is always good. I thought it was funny, but it showed that Tyson could still be like, you still believe that even though he's older, that if it came down to it, Mike Tyson would kill MJF. Like that's where your brain goes automatically because he's Mike Tyson. And I thought that was a way to make it humorous, but still kind of have that Mike Tyson, like, oh, he'll kill you, but like, don't do that. Like, he'll kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It annoyed me that I enjoyed this because I said last week, and I'm going to say it again this week. Tyson does not need to be in this story / angle at all. So it annoyed me that I actually laughed and enjoyed this. It really pained me to say that.
Yeah. So then we get into the match. This was, to me, a pay-per-view main event quality match that we saw to start Dynamite. It went, I think it was like over a half hour long. It was, the way that these four wrestle, they're going to hit, it is the opener of the show, but they're going to hit all their shit. Yep. There's going to be high spots. It's going to be relentless. There's not going to be any real long rest holds to kind of get the crowd. Like, it's just going to be go, what we saw. And we've been talking about MSK and the Young Bucks, and people love them, people hate them. I understand why people might not be all in on that type of wrestling style, especially to open a wrestling show. I get it. But for me, that was as good a TV tag match that I have seen in a long, long time, if not ever. All four of those guys are top of the top. Ray Phoenix might, pound for pound, be the best wrestler in the world. Pac should be world champion or soon be world champion. I think Nick Jackson could be a world champion solo star if he wanted to be. Matt probably too. I don't want to discredit Matt, but these are four top of the roster dudes, and they delivered. I thought this was spectacular. I thought it was what did you have to say? What did you think of the ending with the Young Bucks kind of going overly heel there with the Ray Phoenix ripping his mask off?
Yeah.
What did you just have to say about this in total?
This match was good.
Oh, man. Very good.
Good shit. Look, I've seen several good matches this year. Is this the best tag match I've seen this year? Yeah, it is. Is this match for everybody? No, it's not. there are your purists out there that want your FTR type tag match, hold the tag rope, be out within the count of 5, and that wasn't this. This was never going to be that. Young Buck matches and are never that. But for what it was, you suspend your disbelief and you just enjoy it for what it is. This was amazing. It was, athletic. It was great tag team moves, amazing wrestling. It was just good fun. It went 30 minutes, but at no point did it feel like it was going long.
No, at all.
Never. Like, before I knew it, you had the low blow and they took Phoenix's mask off, and they were winning the match. And I'm like, oh, it felt like this match only started like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
But before you knew it, we were 40 minutes into the show. It was amazing. So good. The Young Bucks, they continue to just reinvent themselves, but not in a big way.
Yeah.
Only like subtly. Then coming out the heel tunnel, I think, was another subtle shift.
Yeah. With Callis too.
Yeah, the gear change was another subtle shift. They didn't seem to work as high flying. They sort of backed off on that and just like had a harder ground based edge to them to an extent. They did the high flying stuff when they had to, but otherwise it was just like a harder edge to them. I really love the ending. If they're gonna push into the Bucks being heels, I really liked that they made them win in a heel way. Heels will win by any means necessary. And if that's the route they're going to go with the Bucks, then yes, please, I'm all for that. This was a magic opener. So good.
Yeah, there were a lot of crazy. I did like the added element of the other tag teams sitting as well and watching on. I did like how they had them sporadically through one section of the audience there. I thought that was a nice little touch.
I thought Jungle Boy was going to fall asleep at one point.
I don't know how he could watching that match, but you know,
he always looks unimpressed. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. But there were amazing spots throughout the match. There was a double apron power bomb. There was a rebound destroyer towards the end of the match that was just unreal. And then, like you said, I think if you're gonna cement these guys as being heels and being with this group now, I've been watching wrestling for 30 years, and I know you don't rip someone's mask off. That's like one of the old rules. Like, you're an asshole if you do that. Like, that's not cool. And the fact that they did it, and then they super kicked the shit out of them, and then that was it. Like, that's a good automatic heat. Like, oh, come on, man. Like, that's not cool. Like, that's a dick thing to do.
They knew you take off his mask, he's not even going to attempt to kick out. All he wants to do is cover his face. He doesn't give a shit about anything else.
Yeah.
So they knew that. I really enjoyed Excalibur putting over the fact that you do that in Mexico, that's a DQ straight up. It doesn't even matter. But in America, the Bucks would be like, F you, we're in America, it doesn't really matter.
Exactly.
We do what we want and we win the match. That's what we're here for. And all for it.
It was very, very good. Then we head out to the back, and we have Hangman with the Dark Order and Alex Marvez. Marvez asked the question. He says, hey, how do you feel about all your old friends in the Elite kind of getting back together? And Hangman doesn't even try to answer it, completely avoids it, starts talking about Southwestern egg rolls, and just kind of leaves. That's all he does. He's just like, nope, not touching that one. Yeah, you talk to them. And he just kind of, I'm out of here, immediately leaves. I thought that was a nice touch because, when you see the Elite and you think of the Elite, you think of Hangman. He's one of the guys that was in the Elite, and he's clearly not part of it anymore. So he is going to get asked those questions. And I thought this was a good way for him to kind of be like, oh, yeah, I knew you'd ask me about that, but I'm not getting anywhere. Nope. And then he just kind of does his thing. And then John Silver, they kind of, do a little funny thing about him rehabbing and stuff like that. Nothing crazy, real short and real sweet, but I did think it was, at least of note that he completely was like, I'm not touching any question about the Elite at all. Like, that's not where I'm at right now. Again, slow build as we eventually get to the point where we think Hangman and Omega will be going for that title,
Yeah. On that, that's one thing that semi worries me. That's 2 weeks in a row now that they've made a point of pointing out that Hangman is number one to Kenny Omega's world heavyweight title. Don't need to push that narrative so quick. You can say he's number one ranked. That's fine. Everyone knows it. That's public knowledge. It's easily accessible.
Yeah.
Don't have to add on to the end of it to Kenny Omega and the world title. He's a number one rank. He might choose to go for Darby Allin. We don't know.
Yeah.
For me, option. We don't know.
For me, it's like, and we've talked about it, but this is something, and we even talked about it earlier when we were talking about Cole and O'Reilly. Like, this is something you should stretch. Like, you should stretch out a little bit. So, I know Double or Nothing is coming up at in a month or so. Like the end. Like, I don't want that match to happen at Double. Like, I don't want them to run. Match can happen at All Out or all. When we're talking Labor Day, September. Give it 4 or 5 months to keep the the organicness of what's happening going, and then you could start pushing.
I'd push.
You could go even further. Yeah, you could go to Revolution of next year. You can go as far as you want. You know what I mean? But I know when we were talking about because I think it was either last week or the week before, we did have that discussion of what is Omega? Who is he going to fight at Double or Nothing in a month? Because we had no idea. We don't have a clue, and I'm just afraid that with the couple weeks that they've mentioned it now and made reference to it, I don't want that to happen that early. Like, that is not, let this happen and let it be organic. And like, let's get to that moment down the line where what would be a big moment if it happened 5 weeks from now could be a gigantic one. If it happens 6 months, 10 months, a year from now, you know what I mean?
Yeah, agree.
Yeah. All right, cool. So then we have Inner Circle being interviewed out in the back with Tyson. I thought Jericho was, again, excellent here with his baby face. He calls the Pinnacle the pineapple, which made me laugh. He also called them his what he referred to, my jerk-off friend and his band of sour men. I thought that was, Jericho, we talked about it. As a heel, as a face, he can cut a promo that you're buying in 100%. He said they talked about Tyson. He also referenced that he remembered a time where Tyson knocked him out on a Monday night, he said. And he said, but they realized, like they said last week, they realized they were doing some bad stuff. So they started calling people and apologizing because they kind of lost the real reason why they were doing things. And Tyson was one of the first people he called. I thought that was a nice little reference and touch. I'm glad that they referenced the history of Jericho and him. Because if you're a long-term wrestling fan, you do remember that moment. So I'm glad they mentioned it. I thought, this was just another really good babyface promo from Jericho. And the Inner Circle are, in the span of a month, not even 3 weeks, they have gone from the guys you want to see get the shit kicked out of them the most to the guys you want to root for the most. And it's just, all it took was 2 promos by a Hall of Fame guy. And that's it. They're just immediate. We want to root for these guys now. I thought it was another job well done by Jericho, kind of getting them over as baby faces here.
Yeah. I think they also picked the right people to turn the face against. Like, MJF is destined to be a heel forever. To him, being a heel character, it's not just a character, it's just a way of life for him. But yeah, I enjoyed the start where Jericho made sense of why Tyson came out to help them a couple of weeks ago or last week, whenever it was. So that semi made sense. I enjoyed that he sort of went into that just a touch. But again, I don't need Tyson involved in this. I just don't need it.
And hopefully it's not nothing that they do too long term. I understand the name value and the recognition of having him there, but he really, besides the MJF segment, which I thought was really good, he hasn't added a ton to it. He's just like, oh shit, Mike Tyson's here. Like that's all it's really been to me. It hasn't been like, oh, Mike Tyson's here and he did this, or Mike Tyson's here and this happened because of it. It was just, oh, cool, Mike Tyson's here. So, again, hopefully it's not, I don't foresee him being around as a permanent fixture. Hopefully maybe this was it tonight. Who knows? But I'm in agreement with you for a little bit. Like, I don't really see the need for him to be there besides the fact that he's a big name. Then we had Red Velvet going against Jade Cargill. This was quick, but I liked this match. I liked Jade Cargill as a mega star. a mega star. We've talked about it. This is only her 4th match, but every time you see her, she looks like $1 million. She is ripped. She is gorgeous. She is beautiful. She's tall, strong, everything you would want in a female wrestler. She can talk. She can cut good promos. Like, she just needs more time in the ring to kind of fine tune her stuff. But I thought this match was, I loved Red Velvet's intensity. I like how once Cargo got in the ring, she went right at her, started brawling, like no bullshit. Like, I like that part of it. Yeah, I thought it was really good. Obviously, Cargill was going to get the win here, and I'm assuming they'll build Red Velvet up through Elevation and Dark and just other forms on Dynamite, because I do think they have a good one in her as well. I love the fall-away slam into the crowd. I thought that was very cool. Yeah, I mean, it was quick. It was I think 6 or 7 minutes, if that. But I thought it was really good. What did you think of Cargill, and what did you just think of everything that happened here?
Yeah, it's like the way they portray her and put her out there. It's all so good. The way she comes out, her Titantron, the gear, the pyro, her physique, everything. It's just $1 million, as we said. She's the whole package, and she's only going to get better.
Yeah, it's really scary. It's scary how good she already is. We've been watching wrestling for a long time, and we've seen her in 4 matches, but you see her, and we are both in agreement that we're like, whoa, like that is, and she's just started, literally just started. Crazy what you think about where she might be even 6 months, a year from now, which will probably be at the top of that division or near it, Yeah.
Well, put it into perspective. They spent weeks, nearly a month, building up Red Velvet purely so she would become number 2 ranked.
So Cargo could take care of her.
So Cargo could beat her clean.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they think of Jade Cargill. Red Velvet is also coming into her, and she's only going to grow. She's only going to get better. She's, I think, a bit more of a slow burner for them, like longer term investment maybe. Cargill, she straight to the top for her. She's just
Yeah, I agree. I think we are in agreement there. Sky is the limit when it comes to her.
The only thing I would maybe do with Cargill is maybe a different finisher.
Yeah, the glams. I think they called it the Jaded. I think Excalibur
she calls it the Jaded, but the glam slam. Yeah, I like it, but it's she gets her up in the chicken wing, and then she grabs her legs and then puts her down. It loses luster and momentum. I don't know, something maybe more high impact.
Yeah.
And maybe something just as simple as a powerbomb or something. I don't know. But she's a big, big woman in all the right ways.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're in agreement there with her.
She's got everything.
Yeah, she's got everything you would want. Then we go backstage and we have Tony Schiavone with Britt Baker, and she's going over I thought Britt has been nailing everything she's been doing for a while now, but she's back there. She has the rankings, and she basically says, she's ranked number 3 at 7-1, but Red Velvet, who was ahead of her, just lost. So she's 5. So now she's 5-1. So that she jumps her. So she should be number 2, and that the rankings are kind of crap to begin with. And she says, but either way, us fans are one step closer to getting what we deserve. And that is Britt Baker, DMD, as the AEW Women's Champion. And I agree with her there. Again, this was another short and sweet, but well done, funny, just truthful. I think she's spitting facts a little bit. We've harped on the rankings a decent amount in our 3 or 4 shows that we've had here.
Worse than a heel spitting facts.
Exactly. And I think Baker's really leaning into that. Like, hey, they're really going to hate me because the shit that I'm saying, they know it's true, and they can't say anything that proves me wrong. And I think that's a good thing to do. So, I thought that was another well laid out vignette. I thought even when she doesn't wrestle, they make Britt Baker the star that she is. And I do like how she's mentioning, like, hey, I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to be on Dark. I'm going to be on Elevation. You should watch those shows to see me because I'm going to be wrestling. So not only is she continuing like I'm the best woman on this division, I should be the champion, but like also promoting the other shows that like I openly don't get to watch every week. Like I don't have the time. Like, so I think it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Promote herself, promote other shows. It's just smart, well done, booked promo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I said it last week. Like she's with these vignettes or promos, it's a two-prong attack and it works. She does it so well.
Yep.
She puts herself over, but she also promotes the other two shows that, yeah, if a lot of people, if people didn't know where to find them or whatever, they now know. And she's going to be on there because she wants to get the wins up to get up on the rankings. So it's pretty, it seems pretty clear that they're going to do Baker versus Sheeta at Double or Nothing. And if that means Baker's coming home the champ, then yeah, giddy up.
Yep. I agree with you there. Then we got the AEW debut, but obviously the Dynamite debut of Anthony Ogogo. He went up against Cole Carter, I believe his name was. This was very short. Carter got a little bit of flash offense at the beginning, but nothing really affected Ogogo. And then Ogogo hit him with that kind of body shot hook to the kidneys or the ribs or somewhere around that little body area. And the ref stopped the match. I thought they made Ogogo. I understood what they were trying to do. I thought the punch in the ending sequence came off a little to me personally, but I understood I understood like he's an Olympic boxer. So like I completely understood it. And I think it's a good light to show him in. One punch knockout wasn't even to like a body knockout, one punch. Like he's someone that is legitimate. He's an Olympic medalist. Like, that guy is legitimate. I just thought the way it actually happened on my screen, I was just kind of like, all right. Like, I get it, but that's just for me. It just didn't wow me 100%. But I thought the message was clear,
Yeah. For me, the punch was fine. I didn't think we needed the collar and elbow tie-ups that preceded it.
Maybe that was it.
I would have and I thought it was real smart of them to do this and the Cargill match and stuff on a taped Dynamite.
Yes.
So if the shit hit the fan, just edit it, redo it, happy days. What I would have done here, considering that Ogogo and that are in the the heel faction, when Cole Carter went for a collar and elbow, just drop the knees, bang. I would have done it straight up. Just don't need to wrestle. Don't need to make the other guy look semi-equal at any point. Just punch him, one done. That's how I would have done it. Give him the old pant shitter, as it's called. Yeah. There's not much you can say because it wasn't much to it. I'm interested to see where they go with him. He's obviously still very green, so maybe that's why they didn't have him do a lot. And if that's the case, that's fine. But yeah, we'll see where they go with him.
It looked like they might be going with the name just The Factory for that. They had the new logo. They were wearing shirts. I did like QT Marshall kind of walking out with that. He's been good since they've made this move, and he didn't say anything, but his facial expressions to me said enough. Like he walked out, he's like, yeah, this is my crew here. And Solo was out there and they had Nick Coronado in the all white, which I thought was, he looked completely different than everyone else. Camarado, I'm sorry. God.
Yeah. Nick he just Camarado. Looks like a caveman. Caveman Camarado.
Yeah. And I like the all white little getup. He looked different from the other crew because he does look different with his, the way he is. I thought it was good. Maybe it was because they did the collar and elbow tie-ups earlier. Maybe that was kind of the reason why it just didn't completely click with me. I don't know. I just thought like he's a boxer. I understand the one punch, but just it didn't seem fluid to me, or something just seemed off. I don't know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Then we got Miro. I love this. He said he can't find Kip. I'm sorry, he can't find Kip. Doesn't know where he is. But he says it doesn't matter. He's moving on with or without him. And he said, I'm a killer and I'm going to the top and I'm moving on with or without you. I thought, again, short, sweet, believable is my main thing. We all know Miro. We all know Rusev. We all know that guy is a monster. And he looks like a monster. He should be, now that he's been there for a little bit now. It seems like they're breaking him away from Kip. If he's on his own, he is up at the top of the card immediately. Yep. That's where he should be. I did like how they treated him as such the last few matches he had. But that's where I assume he's heading, is right towards the top. And I am all for that because I love that guy.
Yeah. I would just start feeding him dudes on Dark, Elevation, Dynamite, whatever. Don't care. Just let him rack them up big time.
Yep.
He will just murder people, and it will be the best.
Yes, and that's exactly what they should do with him.
Yeah, if it means he has to murder Sabian, then happy days with that too.
All in. Then we get Jericho. Chris Jericho going up against Dax Harwood. Jericho does get the victory here. This felt like more of a fight to me than a wrestling match, although I thought it was a good match, but it definitely had more of the brawling style. They were really beating the crap out of each other for a good portion of this match. I did like how towards the beginning they showed Tyson playing it down the middle. Jericho went to grab a chair and Tyson grabbed it from him. And then Harwood went to grab a bat and same thing. So they showed Tyson being that fair down the line kind of enforcer out there. I did like that. Dax Harwood, he had a killer of a match with Jungle Boy not too long ago. And now he has another singles match with Jericho. And this one was good. I feel like as a singles wrestler, he is, I think a lot of people, myself included, we've always known the Revival FTR, that they are great and they're a great tag team and one of the best in the world. Yeah. But I don't think we understood how good of a singles wrestler Dax Harwood is. And these two matches, he has been impressive to me.
Very,
very impressive. So I like to see him getting that spot, especially if he's going to be putting on these type of matches. Like, all for it. Like, have him have more singles matches in between the FTR stuff every so often. Like, I would like to see Cash get a singles match too, because he can go too. So, I really like this match. It ended up turning into a little bit of a brawl that AEW seems to, and again, this was not the first match. That's something that, and we can talk about it later when we talk about another brawl that happens, but it's something that they seem to rely on a lot. But with the heated feud of these two groups, like anytime they see each other, they should want to beat the crap out of each other. So like, I get it. It's cool with me. But I do think it's something that AEW leans on a lot, like the chaos happening around the two people in the ring type atmosphere. But Jericho ends up winning with the Judas effect. Again, I thought it was a very, very good match. What did you have to think about this match in particular and just kind of everything else that was happening on the outside?
Yeah, the match was good, man. It was, as you said, it was more of a brawl or a fight more than a wrestling match. And I'm fine with that, considering the two guys involved and the faction war they got going on and all that sort of stuff. So I was fine with all that. I didn't need the amount of interference that it had. It took away a bit from how good the match was, in my opinion. I would have been okay with the faction war happening and the brawl happening, but show them brawling in the car park or something, because they were banned from ringside. So make it so that they can't get to ringside. Have them brawl in the back or in the car park or something, anything. Yeah. And to me, that would have felt more authentic. And I'll say it till the cows come home. Tyson doesn't need to be involved. Although that punch was pretty damn good.
Yes. And I thought Cash took it very well. And I liked, it's the little things. I like how when, we've all seen it, whether it's American football, Australian football, we've all seen it in sports. When someone gets their bell rung and they're knocked unconscious, sometimes they do get the stiff mummy arms or the stiff, So I thought the punch looked good. Cash made it look like he really got cold cocked there. And when he went down to the ground and his arms were kind of out and his eyes were kind of open, I thought he sold that perfectly. I thought that was one of the highlights of the match. And then after the match, Jericho grabs the mic and he makes Tyson, I forget the word he used, but he basically makes Tyson a member of Inner Circle. Yeah, honorary member of the Inner Circle, which, okay, great, like, fine. But yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. Like, if this has served its purpose with Tyson, just have Tyson in the audience if you want to use him from here on out. He doesn't really need to be involved in stuff that's happening anymore.
One thing that and I hope they don't, but I think this might lead to Tyson turning on the Inner Circle at Blood and Guts at some point. If that seems to be the WrestleMania 14 route that they're headed with it all. If that's the case, then yay.
Yeah.
But again, it's just two really good groups going at it. I don't need any extra.
Yeah,
for me.
I would agree. I would agree with you there. Then we see out in the parking lot, we have the Elite out there with Don Callis. And they're all Callis is cutting a promo. I thought the young Bucks in their new heelish outfits they're wearing, they looked like two different 90s versions of Shawn Michaels to me. I was like, oh, that's Matt had the dangly earring and the beret. Nick Jackson had the vest and a different type of hat. I was like, they look like literally just two different versions of 90s Shawn Michaels. I thought it made me laugh, but I thought they pulled it off pretty well.
Huge pop.
Sure. Yeah. So Callis, Callis is talking a little bit, saying that the family's back together and all this stuff. And Omega gets the mic and he says that, they all really didn't change. They just got sick and tired of doing what they thought the fans wanted them to do.
Yeah.
And then Callis, that's kind of Omega's thing about it. Callis grabs the mic again. And he ends the promo by saying, hey, you wanted to see the old Kenny? You wanted to see the old Bucks? Well, here they are. You got them. And then he also says, and you shouldn't be surprised. And he said, and if you know us, you shouldn't be surprised that there are more surprises to come. I don't know where that leads. I'm sure we could all pick a few names that maybe we would like to see again. And then the Young Bucks did their thing where they were going to fake super kick the cameraman, and they didn't. And Don Callis ended up super kicking as they all get in the limo and drive off. I thought this was good. I did like how Callis mentioned, like, hey, maybe there's a few more surprises down the line, because if you're going to do it, you might as well just go balls out and do it, right? So, like, it's one of those things where if you're going to bring, who knows? They're TNA. They're obviously friendly with New Japan, it seems like, again. Like, who knows where we can go? But I thought it was intriguing. I liked the Young Bucks' new getup as we were talking about it. I liked Omega saying, like, hey, we never changed. We never changed at all. We were just doing what we thought you guys wanted us to do, and that wasn't helping us. So now we're doing what we want to do. I thought it was, again, I thought tonight, I thought last night, AEW, all their promos, there was not one bad section of that Dynamite in total, I thought, that didn't matter. Or, I thought all the promos, a lot of them were short and sweet, but they were effective and they were believable, and it made stories move forward. And I thought this was just another example of that one with the main champion and this main, another one of the main factions moving forward here.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it was all fine. Could I have done without Don Callis' shitty super kick? Yeah, probably.
had to kick him in the stomach at the highest, right? It looked like.
Oh, I think he got him just
maybe
above
the
kneecap
knees.
To the but it is what it is. But yeah, again, everyone here did what they had to do. Gallows and Anderson had the facials. Kenny said what he said. The Bucks said what they said. Callis did what he had to do. It was all good. Yeah, whether this leads to, Rich Swann and a whole bunch of Impact guys coming over to AEW next week before the Impact pay-per-view, who knows? That wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I think we need to do something, because I'm not actually sure where we're headed with, as we've said this the last 2 weeks. We don't know, outside of Rich Swann and the Impact World title, we don't have a clear direction on where Kenny's going towards the next AEW pay-per-view. So they need to start rolling with that. But yeah, this served its purpose. It was fun.
Yeah. Then we got another vignette with Thunder Rosa. I like this one too. She said that she's taken over the world. She's here to take over the world. She said not only does she want the AEW championship, she wants the NWA championship back. It seems like they're in a position where they're going to make the NWA title a second women's title on AEW, which I'm all for because they have a ton of women. So if you AEW, the women had 2 matches tonight, which I thought that's a step up. You know, a couple months ago we were clamoring for them to get 1 match. So I think the fact that there was 2 tonight and they're showcasing new people and just, you know, the women's division has been moved to the forefront of AEW. Like at least like you can tell that they're investing time and investing resources in making this division matter, which is nice. And I'm a big fan of Thunder Rosa. I love her mentioning both titles. I love her mentioning Serena Deeb and saying like, hey, you beat me. Like, oh, fine. But like, I'm getting that back. I thought this was another short, sweet, deliberate, believable promo from Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. It seems to me that, we're going to end up with Baker beating Sheeta or Conti, depending on which way they go next week, at Double or Nothing. And then it looks like we might be in for a bit of a revisit with,
champion versus champion maybe or something.
Champion versus champion maybe, yeah. But yeah, it's all good for me. Rosa's good. Everything she seems to touch turns to gold. As I stated last week, smartest thing they could do is, if they haven't already, is sign here, because they don't want to lose her services or the feeding ground that is Mission Pro that is bringing talent in. So, this was good. It was good.
I thought so too. And then, the next segment was something that I thought was real good too. I'll let you go first on this one, but we saw the in-ring return of the alien, Chris Statlander. She went against Amber Nova, who I will admit I don't know much about, but from the people that I trust that know a lot about, they think she's real good too, apparently. This was a squash match for the most part, but I know you were real excited about Statlander returning a couple weeks ago, so I'll kind of let you go first. Like, how'd you feel? Did you like what we saw?
Buttlander is back. Yes, she is. This was just everything it needed to be. Was she 100% in ring? No, but she hasn't wrestled in 10, 11 months either. So this was fine. Amber Nova was probably the perfect opponent for a return match for her. Someone who was a lot smaller, was willing to bump around and sell for her, which she did. Statlander looks leaner. And she looks physically more impressive than when she was, and she seems to be wrestling a different sort of more high impact style.
Yeah, much more aggressive. I thought, like much more intense, which I liked, and I liked her before too. But I thought that was noticeable from the jump. It was like, oh, like big moves, like I was impressed by the intensity of what she was doing.
It looks like she might have backed off the alien type of stuff just a little bit, which is fun, which is good. She seems to be more open to talking and stuff like that. I am actually shocked at how well she fits in with the Best Friends crew. To me, that just fits. Would I have had her come out to the Best Friends music? Probably not, but everything else seems to fit. It's just like this weird sort of a jigsaw puzzle, and the pieces are all out of shape, but
it's like
magically they straighten up and then they fit, and it's happy days. So,
it's like the island of misfit toys,
Yes, exactly right. But even the simple things, like she does the boop, it was more aggressive. It was like a face palm, but with the finger. Those sort of subtleties I think she needs moving forward. But this was good. This was a perfect reintroduction for Chris Statlander.
I agree. And it's good to have her back as we talk about how much better the women's division looks now. To have someone of that caliber who they were pushing clearly back before the injury, to just throw her back into the mix, nothing but a good thing. Nothing but
someone like Chris Statlander she would be your prime example for, if you had Baker and Rosa, feuding over the main AEW title, Statlander would be your perfect foil for your NWA Women's Champion.
Yeah.
She's that good.
Yeah.
And she's only going to get better as she gets more matches in, coming back from a pretty bad injury.
Yeah, for sure. Then we got a couple segments. We have Team Taz out in the back, and they're talking about how they're annoyed that they've been kind of being blown off by Christian Cage, waiting for an answer. Ricky Starks starts to kind of lose his mind a little bit, and Taz interrupts him and says, "Hey, Ricky, I'm annoyed too, but you're just too combustible. You're too combustible. I need you to stay back here tonight."
Yeah.
And Brian Cage starts kind of, chatting, and he's like, "Oh, I agree, Ricky, you're too." And then Taz interrupts him and goes, "No, I think the same about you, Brian. So I need both of you to kind of stay back here because you guys are a little too combustible. Let me go try to handle this." And then that leads to Christian Cage having an in-ring promo with Shivani. And small thing, but I loved it. Right at the beginning when Christian says, and this is a guy that's been wrestling for 20, 25 years. He goes, "This is my first time in the ring getting interviewed by you. So this is a big moment for me." I love that. Because, being someone who's 35 years old, WCW, Tony Schiavone was the main commentator, main guy in WCW when I was watching WCW when I was younger. So I kind of view him in that same level that I would view a Jim Ross. Like, you can argue who's better or whatever. That's not what this is about. But I view him. Exactly. He was the voice of WCW for a long time. So for Christian to kind of start the promo that way and be like, "Hey, like, this is a big moment for me to be in here with you." I think that shows how important Shivani is to wrestlers. And it was a small thing, but I was like, that's a cool thing that he said there. I like that a lot. Cause I think that sometimes you don't include announcers when you're talking about, people of the past or whatever like that. And I just thought it was a good little touch.
Yeah. For Christian, this would have given him sort of like warm and fuzzies because of when he was in TNA. Mike Tenay was there.
Yeah.
And Mike Tenay was a big part of WCW as well. So,
yeah. And then,
I agree with you.
Yeah. And then, they start talking and they get interrupted by Taz, and Taz is pissed. And Taz comes out and he says, "You've been blowing us off for a week. I'm tired of waiting around. I want a damn answer. Yes or no." And then this was so good. They start insulting it. This felt like an old school promo by two old school, really wrestlers. So he's saying, Taz calls Christian a shitbag, and he's like, I'm waiting, I want an answer. And Christian goes, "Oh, well, I'm glad you're 3 steps up so I can say this face to face to you." Oh man. So he brings up Taz's height and he goes, "My answer is no." And then Taz goes, "You know what? I never did like you or your friend that carried your ass," obviously referencing Edge. Yeah. I thought it was great. I thought that whole part of it was great. I loved Hobbs kind of telling Taz, "Hey, shut up. I got this. I got this."
Didn't say a word.
Didn't say a word. Just put his hand on the microphone, hand on Taz's chest, like, "No, I got it." And he got in the ring. Christian, a flurry at the beginning, but then Hobbs really just beat the shit out of Christian. And they announced next week that's a match now, Christian and Hobbs. I think not only does this progress a story, but I think for someone as new to the business or as green as Hobbs to get in the ring with a veteran, like that's what Christian should be there for. Not only he's Christian, so he's going to have his title opportunities. He's going to be at the top of the card, but him wrestling guys like that for that experience for them, huge.
Yeah.
I liked everything about this segment. I liked most everything about both these shows, but I know you're a huge Christian guy. So what were your opinions on this?
Yeah, man, loved it. It was everything it needed to be. I found it a bit ironic that Taz said, "Ricky and Brian, you're combustible, stay back." He comes out and basically says, "I need an answer now. Give it to me."
Yeah, exactly.
So that was, I think, the banter between the two, as you said, was quality. I loved how Taz said, "If I stood on my wallet, I'd be 10 feet over your head."
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And then Christian retaliates with, "Oh yeah, bingo, whole money, no worries." Yeah.
Bingo, whole money.
And then Taz is like, no, other money too. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that back and forth to me was just hilarious.
Yeah.
Christian's going to put Hobbs over 2 weeks in a row, and that is amazing.
Yeah.
That'll do more for Hobbs.
Oh, yeah.
Than,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was in a tag match with Moxley a few months back.
Yeah.
This will arguably put him as over as that did. He looked like a monster tonight, just manhandling Christian.
Yep.
Hobbs isn't going to win next week. Don't
No.
get me wrong. But we saw with the Kazarian match, Christian is going to wrestle a lot of his matches in AEW from underneath.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to get dominated for large portions, and then he's going to come back and he's going to win from there. So Hobbs will dominate a lot of the match next week. And that's going to make him look absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, if they want to keep, obviously the team I would be perfectly happy with Christian having to go through all of those guys in Team Taz. But I think moving forward, I think there's a way where you can continually do this with Christian, where he not only is in meaningful stories, but he is giving that ring time and that experience to younger guys like this, to put them, not only elevate them to the fans' eyes that are watching, because if you're in the ring with Christian's a big deal. So, that matters. And then also just for those guys to be in the ring with him for a 10, 15-minute match and to learn and just, that to me is, it's just experience that you can't buy for those young guys. And I just think that's why he should be there. And I think that's why it was such a good get for them to get someone like Christian, because he can do two things at once. And I'm all in on that for sure.
And you got to remember, Christian has a history of concussions. He's not going to agree to work someone that he doesn't think is A, capable, or B, trust.
Yeah.
So he obviously thinks highly of Hobbs. And we mentioned it a couple of weeks ago when we reviewed the Frankie match. He has so many talents, younger talents, that he could work with and help and all that sort of fun stuff. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and I'm here for all of it. All of it.
Mm-hmm. All right, and then we get to our main event of the evening. This was a match that, going into it, I was kind of like, but I thought it was fun as hell. I thought it was fun as hell. It was Darby Allin defending the TNT Championship against Matt Hardy in a no Falls Count Anywhere match. So obviously you knew there was going to be weapons and shenanigans and all that stuff. I did love how JR, right at the beginning of the match, mentioned the TLC matches and mentioned Edge and Christian, mentioned the Dudleys. I love that, because Hardy throughout his career has had these brutal weapon-filled matches, and he has been successful in a lot of them. So I think, mentioning that for the fans like us that obviously remember those matches, and just for the new fans that might not know Matt Hardy's history of being an extreme type wrestler at times, I think that was a nice little touch. This match, as expected, went everywhere. They brawled through the crowd. You had Matt Hardy's crew come out towards the end and start ganging up on Darby, which led to Sting and the Dark Order coming out to kind of even up the odds. I love Sting before he finally left, like throwing the bat to Darby. Like, I love that. I love how they showed that. Like, it was almost a passing of the torch. Like, hey kid, here's my bat. Use it to whatever you need to do. I thought the coffin drop to end the match through the announcer's table from the scaffolding, unreal. And Darby has shown that he doesn't give a shit. Like, he's gonna be that daredevil. And a lot of people, it's funny because he's fighting Matt Hardy, and a lot of people say that Darby reminds them of a young Jeff Hardy. Yeah. So it's kind of funny how that kind of works out. You know what I mean?
And Matt would have felt the same working this match.
Oh yeah.
You would have 100%. Loved it. Every bit of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, what did you think about this match? Any parts of it that stood out to you that you liked, didn't like? Just,
It was just a fun match. It
really was. It really was.
Was there a lot of outside interference? Yes, but it's a Falls Count Anywhere match. You knew it was happening. You knew it was going to happen. Was it necessary? No, but Hardy's crew of the heels, it was always going to happen. So probably didn't need all the Archer Sting coming out was, he's been with Darby this whole time, so that made sense. I probably didn't need Archer coming out. I definitely didn't need Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky coming out. I don't know what purpose they really served. So
yeah, it looked like they were going after Sting. It looked like specifically that they were trying to go after Sting, and then that's when. So I don't know where the hell they're going there.
Yeah, so just have to wait and see on that sort of portion of it. But yeah, that coffin drop to end it.
Oh man,
I don't know if they've ever used the announce table like that before.
I can't remember. I think that, yeah, maybe. Was that the first time that somebody's gone through the announcer's table? I know they usually use the ring keeper's table where like Justin Roberts sits. They'll use that a lot. But I think all the way up there, I think you might be right. I think that might have been the first or maybe the second. I don't remember. Yeah. I can't pinpoint a time where it's happened before, at least.
So if that's the christening of an announce table break, then good way to go. Mm-hmm. It must be said, Matt Hardy working days after the tragedy he endured, him and Jeff.
Yep.
That's
true pro.
Professionalism in the purest of senses.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's just a massive nod to who Matt is as a person. He did what he had to do. He would have had so much going through his head. It would have been not funny. But yeah, he showed up. He did what he had to do, and then he would have gone home, done what he had to do. Mm-hmm. So that can't be discounted in taking in. So if you didn't like this match or you thought bits of this match were off, just remember what Matt as a person was going through at that time. But as a whole, this match was just a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Darby Reigns still
that guy is a star. They've presented him as that from the beginning. But I think specifically since he's kind of won that TNT title, like he's just having banger after banger when it comes to the matches. He is clearly a crowd favorite. Everyone loves him. And he's this, daredevil type character that just does all this crazy shit. Like you're going to root for that. Like that's just, man, I think, he is a huge star. He already is. And again, we talked about Cargill earlier, like the sky's the limit. I feel the same. The sky is the limit when it comes to Darby too. And man, I think he's the perfect guy to have that belt now. If they want to have him wrestling every Dynamite for that title or every other, like they seem to be doing, all on board. He said he's going to be a fighting champion. He's going to, and he's showing up like a fighting champion, and he's having a hell of a match with Hardy tonight and other ones. Like, I'm all in on that guy too. Like that, they got a lot of good young guys that are going to be carrying this company for a long, long time, and he's near the top of the list there. So
the list of homegrown talent that they're sort of building and elevating, it's getting longer by the week, and within a few years, it's going to be ridiculously good.
Yes, I would agree. All right, so that wraps up another. Now it was a 2-night affair, but another great wrestling week when it comes to NXT and AEW. We were chatting a little bit before. I know you had kind of watched them back to back, kind of like we have been doing, but being someone for the first time that watched them on Tuesday and Wednesday, I thought it was much easier to enjoy both of the shows with their own nights, not having to worry about avoiding something or, trying to watch both. It was so, and we got 2 killer shows. So I'm looking forward to how this landscape is continuing to look going forward when it comes to NXT and AEW. I'm looking forward to doing more War Reports weekly with you. Plug your shit, my friend. What else you got coming on this week or in the future besides the War Report?
I don't know. It's nearly the weekend, so
I know.
Probably just I don't know. I don't know. Nothing's set in stone. WrestleMania week's finished. It's just
we got through it.
Didn't we? What? We smashed it, man. It was good.
Yeah, we did. It was a very, very good week.
Yeah, affiliates on Twitch now. That's always good. So follow us, subscribe to us over on there. That's all good stuff. Where is it? Yeah, that's my personal Twitch. I'm going to start doing more stuff on there too. I'm hoping to also do some Twitch stuff on Love Wrestling on the weekend too. That would be fun.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, I'm back here with your fine self next week, sir.
Rock and roll. Yeah, I am right there on the Twitter But yes, please, YouTube, Facebook, and now Twitch affiliate. Love Wrestling. Follow us, subscribe. We appreciate all of you. That was a big goal of ours last week, was getting more noticed on Twitch and becoming affiliates, and we were able to do it, and we were able to do it because of you guys that follow and listen and subscribe. So please continue to do so. Tell your friends, tell your wrestling friends, your wrestling family. We all love what we're starting and what we're capable of here. But yeah, I got nothing else to really plug either. I'm sure Love Wrestling will be up to a ton of stuff all the time, but the remainder of this week. So look out for us on the YouTubes and on Twitch and all stuff like that. I'm sure you'll be seeing me and Matt around a lot. But at the very least, next Thursday, you'll be seeing us here again on another episode of the War Report. I want to thank everyone for watching, and we'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.